Hey everyone, and welcome back to Jim's EV Adventures. I thank you for stopping by, and I hope you've had the time to enjoy the video I did on the 2027 Bolt a couple of weeks ago. If you've not seen that, the link is in the description below. But the new Bolt, and no EV or EUV moniker this time, will be hitting the dealerships in early 2026. So let's dive in and do a bit of a detailed head-to-head comparison of this 23 EUV to the 27 Bolt. If you're like me, the original Chevy Bolt was a game changer for affordable EVs. Cheap to buy, fun to drive, and zero drama. But then, poof, it vanished. Fast forward to 2025, and Chevy's bringing it back bigger and better than ever with the 2027 Bolt. And today, again, we're comparing that reborn 2027 Bolt against its conceptual predecessor, the 2023 Bolt EUV. Let me wax serious for just a minute here. I'm going to give you an experienced analysis of the actual 2023 Bolt. And as an owner, I have driven this car just shy of 75,000 miles. And then we're going to compare it to the 2027 Bolt, the one I had the privilege of examining in person at Universal Studios Hollywood just a couple of weeks ago. I've actually driven the 2027 Bolt right down Wisteria Lane. How seriously cool is that? And at the end of this video, I'm going to give you the answer to the tough question. Is the new kid on the block really an upgrade or just a nostalgic rehash of what we already have? We shall see. But for now, let's dive in, starting with the heart of any EV, the powertrain. Both Bolts pack a 65 kilowatt-hour battery, but the tech inside could not be more different. The 2023 Bolt EUV rocks a nickel manganese cobalt pack. Solid, but prone to the old thermal issues that grounded the originals and prompted one of the biggest recalls in automotive history. It also has daily charging limitations, keeping the pack in the 20 to 80% range to prolong the battery life. But the 2027 flips the script with lithium iron phosphate chemistry, LFP. It is less expensive to make, way more stable in the heat, and perfect for daily beatings without degradation worries. Charge the LFP to 100% every day, and you have no increased battery degradation. Range-wise, the EUV's EPA-rated range was 247 miles, and it holds up in real life, but GM's teasing 255 miles for the 2027, a slight edge on paper. But since you can charge to 100% every day, that's an actual large edge, 20% more pack every single day. Now, I've actually had the EUV squeeze out 240 plus miles on mixed drives. So expect the new Bolt to flirt with 250 if you're easy on the pedal. Under the hood, the motors are very close. 200 horses on the EUV versus 210 on the 2027 Bolt. Both have front-wheel drive with permanent magnet motors for that instant EV torque. But does that extra 10 horsepower really matter? We shall see in the very near future, but I would expect that 10 horsepower to help it pep its step a little bit. 0 to 60, you might ask. Well, the EUV clocks in at 7 seconds flat. 6.8 seconds in the car and driver's hot lap, and the 2027, my estimate is that the 2027 Bolt will return a time between 6.7 and 6.9 seconds. That's quicker than the Equinox EV that it's based on, and I can tell you from driving it in California a couple of weeks ago, it does feel just a bit punchier off the line. Top speed, well, this is where the EUV tops out at a modest 93 miles per hour. Fine for the suburbs, but I'm betting that the 2027 Bolt pushes the 105 to 108 mile per hour range for top speed, per those same tests comparing it to the Equinox EV. It's not a trackmaster, but it'll merge onto the freeway without breaking a sweat, just like my EUV does. Where will you see the biggest changes? Well, step inside and it's night and day for technology. Both get an 11.3-inch infotainment touchscreen. The EUV pairs it with wireless Apple CarPlay and Android Auto. That's easy peasy. But in the 2027, it's all on Google built-in. No dongles, seamless integration with Maps, Assistant, and Play Store right from boot up. But the downside is there is no native CarPlay or Android Auto, and you'll miss that if you're an iPhone diehard. But honestly, Google's ecosystems are a bit more polished these days, and it might win you over. I'll let you know when I get my hands on one for a long-term test. But for those who insist on Apple CarPlay or Android Auto, there's a dealership in Michigan that had, and I stress the word had, a workaround. Unfortunately, GM shut them down, but like all good workarounds, I would expect it to reemerge somewhere, just like jailbreaking an iPhone or an Android. And I'll be watching to see what happens and will report back when I know something definitive. Gauges are a step up too. The 8-inch digital information cluster, also called the DIC, in the EUV is small compared to the 11-inch in the 2027. More real estate for nav, efficiency readouts, that satisfying trip computer, and don't forget there's a battery percentage readout on the 2027 Bolt. Connectivity is similar. You have Qi wireless charging pad and USB-C ports. The EUV held on to a few legacy USB-A ports, which is just really not needed anymore. The interior vibes. The EUV's shift buttons on the center console felt like a modern SUV, but the 2027 goes old school with a column shifter. But that simple move frees up precious knee room for the driver and front passenger, giving a more spacious feel, and that's a win-win. Audio is a toss-up. Both have solid 6-speaker setups, but stream what you love the easiest, and there's an available premium sound package on the RS trim, much like the Bose setup I have in my Bolt EUV. So really there's no edge in the sound systems for either model. So what about charging? That's where the 2027 flexes hard. Now, when AC charging at home, both can handle 11.5 kilowatts, adding about 40 miles per hour on a level 2 charger. But DC fast charging, the EUV maxes out at a paltry 55 kilowatts, taking a real-world 73 minutes for 10 to 80%. That's 173 miles of range restored. That's per my tests. It's solid for road trips, but you'll be pacing the station waiting on that charge to finish. So you have to plan accordingly. But enter the 2027 Bolt, up to 150 kilowatts, hitting 10 to 80% in just 26 minutes for that same 174 miles. That's respectable, but it's still short of the 18 minutes for the 10 to 80% for the Hyundai, and it gets about 40 miles less range on that same 10 to 80%. So you're looking at over 200 miles for the Hyundai. If GM wants to step up their game in the next generation of Bolt, they need to match the Hyundai Kia Genesis eGMP platform charging performances. 150 to 175 kilowatts is just not industry standard anymore. Port-wise, the EUV sticks to the standard CCS port, so grab a $250 NACS adapter for Tesla compatibility from your local GM dealer. The 2027, well, it has native NACS and the car comes with a CCS adapter included. So it is future-proofed for many years to come. Bonus, the 2027 model now boasts battery preconditioning as standard, route plan to a charger, and it warms up en route for peak charging speeds. The EUV, nada. You're gambling on ambient temperatures, and it can be painfully slow in colder temperatures, as I found out in early 2024. Finally, let's talk about safety, because safety is first, and Chevy's cranked it up to an 11 on safety. Both start with basics: ABS, stability control, traction, rear view cam, antenna beam headlights, following distance alerts, adaptive cruise control, forward collision warnings, passenger sensing, lane keep with departure warnings, blind zone alerts, auto emergency braking, front pedestrian braking, and rear seat reminders. It's a solid Chevy Assist suite. But the 2027 piles on 6 more new features. We're talking rear cross-traffic braking, not just alerts. A safety alert seat that vibrates to wake you up, and I can tell you that that is startling. Rear auto braking, intersection auto braking and collision mitigation, blind zone steering assist to nudge you back should you try to merge into a lane where there's a car or a motorcycle, and side bicyclist alert. And I can tell you, when I was driving this thing at Hollywood Studios a couple of weeks ago, one of the assistants stepped out in front of the car to motion me where to go, and the car would not move. Very safety conscious. Plus, it has tire pressure with fill alerts, standard latch anchors, a full array of airbags, front, side, roof, etc. And it's the driver assist in this case that seals the deal. Chevy only gave the EUV a partial Super Cruise. I like to call it Super Cruise Light because it only has a handful of roads that it's mapped for. It's hands-free, but it only works in a limited capacity and no lane change assist. The 2027, full Super Cruise everywhere it's enabled. Eye tracking, lane changes, the works. And if you're commuting interstates, this is transformative. It is equally as good as full self-driving on interstate highways. So, verdict time. The 2023 Bolt EUV, it's still a steal if you can snag one used. Has a reliable range, a peppy drive, and that CarPlay charm for well under $20,000. But the 2027 Bolt, it's the EV we deserved a long time ago. It has faster charging, smarter tech, beefier safety, and that LFP peace of mind. It's priced between $29,900 for the entry level and up to about $34,500 fully loaded with everything. It'll crush the value game again. Keep in mind, when the 2017 Bolt LT trim was introduced, it was over $39,000. If you're holding out for the reboot, go ahead and wait, because I think it will be worth it. And here's another thought. This new 2027 model will not be plagued by the typical first-year model of any new car problems that we so often see in this industry. And why do you say that, you might ask? Well, number one, the body and suspension is proven because it is the EUV. So everything you see is based on the EUV. That's a proven technology. The drive system is also proven. It's based on the Equinox EV, and that's been around for 3 years now. And the battery system is also proven. It is LFP technology from a proven manufacturer. The new Bolt is not a nostalgic rehash. GM did not cut corners. They worked quickly and smartly to get this limited run vehicle back on the road, while they're simultaneously working on the next generation of an entire family of affordable Bolt-based EVs. And the 2027 Bolt is their literal sneak peek for what's coming. Thanks for sticking around. Drop a comment. Are you team old Bolt or are you team new Bolt? Smash like if this helped. Subscribe for more head-to-heads, and I'll see you out there or somewhere along the route from point A to point B. In the meantime, Jim's EV Adventures out.